Okay, welcome back to part 3 here. Now, as I was saying, Amy Jo Johnson basically wanted to be written out of the show because I guess, in a way, she wanted to explore other options in her life. You see, Amy Jo Johnson, in case you don't know, is not just a great actress, but she's also a great magician. Now, apparently, one of the reasons, I guess, basically, recapping what I said at the end, what the writers decided to do, since Amy was more, I guess, respectful at the fact that she wanted to be let go and wanted to explore other options, the writers, in my opinion, did what they probably could have done, with the other characters or with the other actors like Austin, Trang, and Walter, if they would have been more respectful and basically explained why they wanted to stay or wanted to go. But they did what many consider was probably the best send-off for any character in the series overall, in the franchise overall, and that's give Amy Jo Johnson's Kimberly character a 10-episode story arc. Now, the reason, again, like I mentioned towards the end of part 2, the reason they did this was to establish not only to give Amy Jo Johnson and her character Kimberly a proper send-off, but it was also a way to establish her replacement. That's right, Catherine Sutherland's character Kat. That's right, Kat was going to be Kimberly's replacement. Now, again, how this occurred was the fact, to recap what I said in part 2, was the fact that how Kat came about was basically Rita captures her, brainwashes her into working for her, gives her the power to morph into an ordinary cat, and as well as the power to morph into a cat monster, and in this case even a giant cat monster that gets blown up and destroyed by the Rangers and the Zords, but survives. But at the same time, during the story arc in which she's being established as soon to be Kimberly's replacement, she also develops feelings and a crush, if you will, for Tommy, Kimberly's boyfriend, if you will. So anyway, what happens is that during the story arc, Rita and Zed have Kat do almost everything you could possibly imagine to weaken Kimberly. They have her take her ninja coin, which is basically connected to her life force. They basically have her working herself overtime, if you will, to the point that Kat notices, as Kat comes into the juice bar, or she notices Kimberly collapsed on the floor. Now, during this whole 10-episode story arc as well, basically towards the second half of it, Kat starts to try to fight the control that Rita and Zed have over her. To the point that after she sees Kimberly collapsed on the floor at the juice bar and gets her rushed to a hospital, only then does she finally admit to Kimberly and to the other Rangers that she had been under the influence of Rita this whole time, that she was the cat, and I don't know if she actually said this or not, but she basically explains who she really is and why everything was happening the way it was. Now, again, I don't know if she explained also that she was that cat monster that they fought, but then again, that's another story. So anyway, after finally proving herself and proving herself true, if you will, by redeeming herself, and thus causing Rita's control over her to be broken, she is basically now given the opportunity to replace Kimberly as the Pink Ranger. And how does this happen? Well, first of all, Kat is able to retrieve Kimberly's ninja power coin and return it to her. But this is also at the same time that Kimberly gets accepted to participate in the Pan Global Games. In other words, the Power Rangers version of the Pan Am Games, if you will. So, Zordon basically tells Kimberly that her time as a Ranger has come to an end, and now she could finally go off and do her own things. But I believe, and this is just my opinion, I don't know if this is correct or not, but I believe the character Zordon also said that she could come back and be a ranger if necessary. So what does she do before she leaves? She hands the power coin over to Kat. That's right, Kat is now the new Pink Ranger. And I'll tell you this, it kind of caught me by surprise. Because I remember one day tuning into Power Rangers, and and hearing the voice coming out of the Pink Ranger morphed. I'm thinking to myself, that's not Kimberly, that's somebody else. And I was right. Because I had basically missed a few episodes here and there. Anyway, after that, we're also introduced to a new villain as well called Master Vile. And Master Vile causes an event to happen towards the final half, during the second and final half of not just Season 3 of Mighty Morphin, but of the Mighty Morphin portion of the franchise as well. And basically what Master Vile does is he turns back time to the point that the Rangers are reduced to kids. But unlike the last time when Zed did it, the Rangers keep the memories as to who they are and what is going on. But as kids, they're at a state to where they can't morph. Because everything had been gone back in time, which meant it went back in time before they became Rangers. So basically what happens through this whole story arc, or this whole finale to the Mighty Morphin portion of the franchise, is Zordon asks for the help of the Mighty Morphin Alien Rangers. And the Alien Rangers are able to kind of be the Power Rangers of Earth, while the real Power Rangers, as kids, are sent through time to retrieve the Zeo Crystal. That's right. The Zeo Crystal was established earlier on in the second season, if you will. Earlier on in the third season. I think just around the time that Kimberly was leaving and Kat was coming in to take her place. So basically what happens is that they have to go retrieve the pieces of the Zeo Crystal throughout space and time. So they got to go through all these different time periods and get all the 5 pieces, which they succeed in doing, and thus it allows them to revert back to who they are, back to the proper age. Of course, the one that reverts back to his proper age first is Billy. But apparently this was also done to later write Billy off of the franchise later on. And this is also a way of finally destroying the power coins and thus not allowing the Rangers to morph into the Mighty Morphin themselves. But again, getting back to the journey they had through space and time, they basically got to pass a lot of tests before they can prove themselves worthy enough of getting the crystals. And when they do, they go back through time, back to the present, so that they can activate the crystal and be reverted back and revert the whole world back to its proper age, and time. But this is also another but at the same time we also say goodbye to another Power Ranger character, Aisha. That's right, Karen Ashley, who played Aisha, is written off of the show by not even being on there. This is something that even Linkara finds ridiculous. Basically, Karen Ashley's last on-screen appearance as a Ranger was when the Rangers were reduced to kids. But even afterwards, we don't see her anymore, and the character that replaces her as young Ashley is named Cecile. But we do see Karen Ashley towards the end through the viewing monitor, if you will, as she's walking towards her new home. Basically what happens is the Ashley character, not Ashley, but the Aisha character, I'm sorry, I get those two names mixed up, but the Aisha character had been studying to be a veterinarian to help animals, and she basically gets the opportunity in Africa. Now we don't know if this is Africa of the past or of the present, but she's given the opportunity, and thus she gives her portion of the crystal to a new character named Tanya. That's right. Tanya, who's another African American girl from Africa, is basically sent to take Aisha's place as the Yellow Ranger. So basically what happens towards the end is Tanya comes on board. She becomes the new Yellow Ranger. But what happens is the Zordon Rito plant two explosive devices under the command center, teleport into the command center while the Rangers are saying goodbye to the Accretion Rangers, steal the Zeo crystal, and then right after that, the command center gets blown up. The Rangers are teleported out, and that ends Mighty Morphin. And that leads us into Zeo, and I'll get into that later on.